across the institution, the response of the staff members and the students alike, it's been very mixed. There was a couple of shocks when they found out. There was a couple of there was very positive feedback at the same time as well. I think it was healthy for us to have that balance to some extent, because it gave us the opportunity to widen our consultation period and to actually identify what would make a positive experience for the staff and the students alike. It doesn't mean that what the staff wanted is exactly what the students wanted. Getting academics on board, getting the programme staff, the programme support coordinators on board, and helping them to understand what the users wanted, I think was, it was a challenge. It was very much a challenge across the institution.
Yeah, I think because we didn't have so much time to set up and to really know Moodle, it was quite difficult, never having used a platform like that before. And there were some teething problems with communication particularly. But in general it's been quite good, because we've usually caught the problems quite fast. There's a lot more detail in how to set things up, so there's more options, which can be a blessing and a curse. I think from an administrator's point of view, learning what those different options are is vital. But the biggest thing that is most useful is the permissions, I think, in Moodle. I was able to enrol students this year, which was really good. And I think we're going to be able to enrol staff on courses next year, which means from Linda's perspective there's less work. And from our perspective things are faster.
I think the great thing about Moodle is that there is so much that you can do. Having said that, I think the limitation is also that there is so much that you can do that you don't know what you're looking for until you find it. So I found it quite difficult to know, particularly if in our instance, whether I can't do something because I don't have the permission, because it doesn't exist, because we don't have the plugin, and finding out that has been a learning curve.
The thing is, the technical challenges are mostly under control. I mean, there are some issues that need to be sorted out, but technology can be changed or can be edited. The main difficulties were again related to people, so it's again the change process that comes into play here. Mostly convincing people who make the decisions that the move is actually a good idea and not just a waste of time has been a real challenge. As a learning technologist, for example, my position is effectively to represent the academics and try to get the best for our students. And that is not necessarily the same as making the best cost savings and so on. Now, when we moved to Moodle, or when we decided to move to Moodle, the situation was a little bit different, because suddenly we had the best of all worlds. We did a proper pre-evaluation of pedagogic value, which came in favor of Moodle. And yeah, the costs also were quite beneficial. So we were able to build a case where the decision makers really couldn't say no.
The main question about moving to Moodle has been the transfer of material across. So it's still a site in progress. It's being upgraded constantly. We've had issues with messaging, for example. We've had issues with forum posts. So as the early adopters, we've hopefully sorted some of these out or identified them so that they won't be issues going forward. But I think the possibility still exists that learning a new technology or having to in some ways adapt to a new technology was a concern. Now Moodle is a lot easier than I thought it would be. So as early adopters, one of the reasons to choose to be an early adopter was to say, if we have to do it anyway, we might as well get on board early, and if things go wrong, then we'll know before we have no choice. Having been on it, yes, we've had a few issues, but they haven't gone drastically wrong.
Moving to Moodle has been a mixed experience. I'm very positive for the future. I'm aware that it's a very new system and not everybody has had the answers, so that's probably been the more difficult part of things, and it has been quite a steep learning curve. But I am positive about it for the future.
One of the negatives of moving from Blackboard to Moodle was to do with actually the features and the functionalities, which I know you're going to talk about later. It was to do with Illuminate and Turnitin. We find those actually quite difficult to set up. And also on the contents page and the navigational bars, we actually find those quite difficult to set up. So maybe one of my main concerns, one of the negative things would be really support and training. I feel that we weren't really properly trained in how to use Moodle. And maybe we do have an excellent team in eMedia that have helped us, but I think maybe more support and training.
I have two challenges that I would share. First one probably is just related to the Bloomsbury colleges and to our BLE environment. Maybe because we are very diverse environment, we have 5 colleges, different institutions, even though we are working under one hat. When it comes to moving into different Moodle instances, then automatically you have to talk to different people from different teams. And working on the automated data integrations for students and for Moodle courses, that prompted a really long discussions, because you have to consider 5 different institutions. You have to do the things at fairly similar time. So, and it also is not very big area of expertise for myself. So probably I found that one challenging because of that as well. Everybody knows that Moodle is an open source system. You can add plugins or special magical things that will make Moodle work and do so many exciting things. But on a side, when you manage the system, it's very difficult to keep the system without any disruptions, and the addition of so many plugins could crash the system, and it's very difficult to explain that to the academics and to the wider world who is not so involved into the running of Moodle.
All institutions will face a considerable challenge in moving from one virtual learning environment to another. And in the Bloomsbury environment, as the service manager, I'm working with 5 institutions, so I have 5 times the amount of challenge. The challenges are both a technical sort of element in terms of integrating institutional systems, student record systems, authentication routes, LDAP, and in the 5 colleges, obviously we have different types of student records, so we have to work with those. And in consultation with ULCC, the experience that they've had working with different student record systems has been a real benefit, because they've done the work already. The other challenge in moving to VLE involves people. It's trying to get across why this is a good thing to academics who are resistant, to students who are in the middle of a degree course and suddenly have to experience a change, and making sure that their experiences are managed and they're supported as well as possible to avoid disruption in their courses.